मंदोगुरुपदगंज कृपा सिंधु नररूप हरि महामोहतम पुंजजा सुवचन रविकर निकर मंदा सीताराम जी पदा सकल सुमंगल मूलता सुराम वरनो कछुका जो मो पर अनुकूल श्री राम नाम को रसिक जे तिन पद रजमम शीश गणपति हनुमान शुका सनकादिक हीश विधिनारद प्रहलाद ध्रुव व्यास घटज कविराय लोमश गरुड़ भुषुंड भृगु याज्ञवल्क्य भरद्वाज श्रीवाणी गिरिजा तिथिये जीव चराचर छोड़ राम नाम जिम सरस प्रिय तासु चरण सिर मोर श्री राम नाम को कही सकै जान सकै को गाओ यथा सिंधु खग चोच भरी त्रिविध था नहीं पास यावर रामचंद्र की जय। नमस्कार एवरीवन, नमस्कार to my co-hosts Tejas, Amit and Deepak. So in the last session we had given a brief background about Panchanga. Since there were some technical glitches and we could not exactly go through the session the way we had intended, there had to be some broad-based introduction to Panchangam that we had to resort to. Today, we are going to go deep into the methods. So first, I'll give you an idea of what a typical physical Panchanga looks like. Once you open it, what are the information that you can expect? And then I'll go in detail on specifics of Tithi calculation, because that is the first thing that we'll be discussing today. Then slowly as we go through the course, we'll be covering the other Anga of Panchangam too, like Karan, Nitya Yoga, Anandadi Yoga, Var, etc. But today we'll be focused mostly on the concept of Tithi and what is the arithmetic behind it. Essentially it is arithmetic, it is sexagesimal arithmetic. Since it is sexagesimal arithmetic, we'll also understand a little bit about the sexagesimal method. So I'm going to share my slides. Once the slides are available, request one of the co-hosts to please confirm. Can you see the slide?
Yeah, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can.
So once you open a Panchanga, it looks something like this. Okay. So what do we say? 22nd October 2025. The rising Tithi is Pratipada. What I have not mentioned is Shukla Paksh or Krishna Paksh. That is also clearly mentioned. When is the Shukla Paksh? When is the Krishna Paksh? Pratipada, 23rd rising Tithi. The Tithi that is always given is the Tithi that is found at sunrise. So the rising Tithi on 22nd October is Pratipada. The rising Tithi on 23rd October is Dvitiya. On 24th is Tritiya. 25th Chaturthi. 26th Panchami. 27th Shashti. 28th Saptami. 29th Ashtami. 30th Navami. 31st Dashami. 1st Ekadashi. 2nd Dwadashi. Trayodashi, Chaturdashi. This way we have gone through the Tithi list. Okay. Then the Var is given. The Var will be same as the Gregorian calendar that we see. So 22nd was Wednesday or Budhavara. 23rd was Brihaspati Vara, Shukravara, Shanivara, Ravivara, Somavara, Mangalavara, and then Budhavara. Budhavara is owned, like you understand, by Buddha Graha, Mercury. Brihaspati Vara is owned by Brihaspati, Jupiter. Shukravara is owned by Venus, Shukra. Shanivara is owned by Saturn, Shani. Ravivara is owned by Ravi or Surya, that is sun. Somavara is owned by Som or Chandra, that is moon. Mangalavar is owned by Mangala, Kuja or Angaraka, that is Mars. Next, we get the Chandra Nakshatra. During the rising time on that day, what the Chandra Nakshatra. So what do we see here? The Chandra Nakshatra during sunrise on 22nd was Swati. Swati is the 15th nakshatra. On the next day, Chandra Nakshatra rising was Vishakha. The nakshatras are called as lunar mansions because moon covers one nakshatra approximately in one day. Therefore, they are called lunar mansions. Nakshatras are essentially the daughters of Daksha Prajapati, who were all married to moon. The detailed story is there in the Puranas. You must have heard the entire story about Somanatha and how Chandra was more enamored by Jeshtha, by Rohini than the other ones. So we start with Swati, Vishakha, Anuradha 2 days because Anuradha is stretched on, Jeshtha, Mula, not Mula, Mool, Purva Asadha or Purva Sadha, Uttara Sadha, Shravana, Dhanishtha, Shatavishaj, Purva Bhadrapada, Uttara Bhadrapada, Revati, and Ashwini Bharani. There was a change that happened fast. So Ashwini, Bharani, both are given. Okay. Now another thing here is Ghadi Pal. So it is in many Panchang you will find it as Ghadi Pal. Ghadi is essentially 24 minutes, Pal is 24 seconds. So what we do to understand Ghadi Pal from Suryodaya. So if you see here, then Suryodaya was, sunrise on that day was 6:36, 8 seconds. 6:36. Okay. Now here I have 48 Ghati. So what is 48 Ghati? 48 Ghati very simply put is 48 into 24 minutes, which basically is 1152 minutes. Okay. So it is 11 hours and 12 minutes. Mota moti. And then 10 Pala. 10 into 24 seconds. 10 into 24 seconds. Pala is 24 seconds. Ghadi is 24 minutes. So about 2 minutes more. Okay. So earlier we had said 11 hours and 12 minutes and now we have 2. So 11 hours, 14 minutes. 19 hours, 14 minutes. So 19 plus 6 is 25. We saw that sunrise was at 25 at 6 o'clock. So 19 plus is 25 and similarly if you add the minutes you get 25:52. What does it mean? That Swati is ending on that day at 25 hours 52 minutes. What does it mean? We don't understand time in terms of 25 more than 24, right? So the way that we calculate in the Vedic system is day is counted from sunrise to sunrise. Since day is counted from sunrise to sunrise, 12 noon is 12, 12 midnight is 24 hours. So after 24, 1 hour 52, that is at 1 p.m. and 52 second on 23rd as per the Gregorian calendar. Because after 12, the next day will rise 1 p.m. and 52 minutes as per the Gregorian calendar. Swati will end and Vishakha will rise. Got it? Similarly, all of this has to be read. So you will always have, in the older Panchangas especially, they still give in terms of Ghati Pal or Ghadi Pal. So you need to understand the simple calculation. Most modern Panchanga, they have started giving in terms of hours. Any which ways, they give you hours, but if you go into traditional Panchanga, you'll find it. For example, here, 28 hours, 51 minutes. So on 3rd, as per Gregorian calendar, at 4 hour 51 minute in the morning, that is when Vishakha ends. Okay, Anuradha doesn't end before sunrise on 25th. Therefore, Anuradha ending has been given as 7 hours 7:52 minutes. At 7 hour 52 minutes in the morning on 25th, then that is when Anuradha ends and Jyeshtha starts. So you understand how this is done? Ghadipal can very simply be calculated into Adha. Next is the Nitya Yoga. Nitya Yoga is a calculation where we sum up the longitudes of sun and moon and then find it. So if you see the Nitya Yoga, then Nitya Yoga total are essentially 27 in number. It starts from Vishakamba, Preeti, Ayushman, and so on. So on 22nd, Preeti Yoga was rising at sunrise. Okay, PR that I have mentioned, it is Preeti. And Ayushman rose at 28 hours 6 minutes, which means 24 plus 4, 6. So 4, 6 a.m. on 23rd is when Ayushman rose. Next it is 21. So 9 o'clock in the night on 23rd. 21 is 9 o'clock, right? 21 hours we say, 12 plus 9, 9 p.m. 9 p.m. in the night is when Ayushman ended and Saubhagya Yoga rose. Next day, that is 24th, 9:55 is when Saubhagya ended and Shobhana rose. Now Shobhana did not set on 25th. It set on 26th at 6:46 and so on. Then Atiganda, then Atiganda rose. Then after Atiganda, you had Sukarmana. Then you have Dhriti, you had Shula and Ganda. On the same day, Ganda also rose at around 6:16. So there were two risings, one at 7:21 and next day morning 6:16. But since it was before sunrise, therefore both are given. Normally, even if there are two risings of yoga or karana, the Panchanga gives you typically one, the physical Panchanga. But if you look at digital Panchangas or online Panchanga, right, like Drik Panchanga, you will get all the information about when the rising is happening and when the setting is happening. Next is the Karana. Like we know, Karana is half of this. So it starts from Kimstugna. Since it starts from Kimstugna, we know that it is the bright fortnight. It is the Shukla Paksha because the first half of Shukla Paksha Pratipada is when Kimstugna rises. Next you say Balava. That is for 23rd. But between Kimstugna and Balava, there is a Bhavakarana. So Bhavakarana was also rising, but it is not mentioned here. Like I said, what is mentioned typically in physical Panchangs is the first Karan that is rising at sunrise. After Balava, you see Tayatila here. But between Balava and Tayatil, there is Kaulava. So Kaulava is not mentioned here. After Taitila, you are seeing Vadija. But between Taitila and Vadija, there is Gara. So Gara is not mentioned here. So that way, you find all the Karana. That is one information that you find. Tithi, Chandra Nakshatra. So Tithi, Nakshatra, Yoga, Karana, Bar. This is Panchanga. But then there are more information which is given in the Panchanga. What is that information? There is something called Anandadi Yoga. So this is also very important for purposes of Muhurta. There are 29 Anandadi Yoga. It starts with Ananda, Kaladanda, Dhumra, Dhatra, Saumya, etc. It is also quite used in Tamil Panchangs. They have their own Tamil names for Anandadi Yoga. What you find on 22nd, during the start, Dhumra was rising. Okay, and it set at 25:52. Once Dhumra rose, then the next nakshatras, they started to, the next Anandadi Yogas, they started to rise. So similarly, Anandadi Yoga, and then you have Chandra Rashi Pravesh. So since Chandra crosses one nakshatra in one day, one Rashi is composed of 2.25 nakshatra. Essentially, two full nakshatra and one nakshatra pada. Each nakshatra pada is 3 degree 20 minutes. Since each nakshatra pada is 3 degree 20 minutes, therefore in one Rashi there can only be 9 nakshatra padas. Okay, so in about 2 days and a quarter, in 2 days and 6 hours almost, it varies. It can be 2 days 2 hours, 2 days 8 hours, depending on the motion of moon, the path of moon, which is not a perfect circle, obviously. So you see the rising sign information. For example, you know that a Scorpio, okay, from Virgo to Scorpio, there was a movement at 22:07. From Scorpio to Sagittarius, there was a movement at 10:48 on 26th. From Sagittarius to Capricorn, there was a movement at 10:15 p.m. From Capricorn to Aquarius, there was a movement at 6:41 a.m. and so on. And then you have sidereal time. Sidereal time is a peculiar construct which is very helpful for the purposes of horoscope formation. So as we go, we'll understand the mathematics of sidereal time also going forward. It is very, very necessary to know the sidereal time for Dashama Bhava Sadhana. That is to understand the 10th house mid cusp. That is to understand the mid heaven. What is right above me? That is mid heaven. What is rising in the east? That is ascendant. What is setting in the west? That is essentially the descendant. What is opposite the mid heaven? That is right below me on the other side of the earth. That is Nadir. Mid heaven is also called Zenith. These are very important points that tell us about the geometry of the sky. To know them well, we need this concept called sidereal time, which is evaluated using the reference of the Greenwich Mean Time, the 0 degree longitude. We'll understand once we come to that a little late in this course. We'll also understand what sidereal time actually is. So on every day, the sidereal time is also given in the Panchanga. This is one of the very important information points that is given there. Then you find whichever place the Panchanga is from. For example, this data is for Mumbai. So you'll find on that day, on that calendar day, what was the sunrise, what was the midday, which was the sunset, midnight, and therefore the Dinamana. Okay, so here, if you see, midday is not 12 o'clock every day. 12 o'clock midday is as per the central meridian of India, which is near a place in Kanpur. Okay, but here in Bombay, since we are further east, the midday is a little later. The sunrise is also a little later. As you go to east, everything goes a little further up, and that is why many countries have different time zones to cover for the actual geographic time. For such a large country, of course, if you go to Manipur or if you go to the far ends of Arunachal Pradesh, sunrise will be as early as 4 o'clock. If you go to the westernmost part of Dwarka or Kutch, at times sunrise can be as late as 7:15. Okay, so this Panchanga for Bombay gives me the sunrise, midday, sunset, and midnight. This information is very, very necessary for finding the yama, the Ashtayama, the Shodasha, Ardhayama, even the Hora, because the Hora, which is a 1 hour period, is ideally deciphered from dividing the Dinamana by 12 and the Ratrimana by 12. So here what is Dinamana? Dinamana is the difference between sunset and sunrise. Sunset here is 6:10 p.m. 6:10:20. Sunrise is 6:36. When would the day be 12 hours? If the sunset also would have been 6:36. But sunset happened 26 minutes earlier. Therefore, you Dinmana, you find here 11:34:12. 11 hours, 34 minutes, 12 seconds. Therefore, the duration of a hora will be discussing tomorrow. The duration of a hora will be less than 1 hour. Okay. Had it been completely 12, then division also it means that the Ratrimana is greater than Dinamana. So the length of the night is greater than the length of the day, which is typical of winters. We are approaching winters. We have passed the autumnal equinox. Therefore, the size of the day will start getting lesser and lesser, and the size of the night will start getting bigger and bigger. So, this information is also given in a typical Panchanga. Then you have the actual longitudes of planets on that day, the rising longitudes and the speed. Okay. Now, this speed is daily speed in 24 hours. So suppose I want the speed of the exact longitude at 4 p.m. So I'll divide what is the time. If this is the speed for 24 hours, I'll calculate what will be the speed for that much time, and I can find the exact longitude of Sun or any other planet at that time. What does it mean? One is 6, sine is 6. So we will go into sexagesimal system right away. Sorry, there. So we'll find that this is essentially 6 signs have shifted. What are the signs? It starts with Mesha, Aries. Second sign is Vrishabha, Taurus. Third is Mithuna, Gemini. Fourth is Karkata, Cancer. Fifth is Leo, Singha. Sixth is Kanya, Virgo. So 6 signs have passed. We are in the 7th sign. So Sun is in Libra. Okay, that is the first thing you know from this 6. And we know that all these 15 days that we are talking about, Sun will be in Libra. On this day, Sun was at sunrise 4 degree 37 minute 31 second in Libra. How do we exactly know? I talked about yesterday, last Saturday, that it is the zodiac belt, it is a round belt, right? 9 degree both sides, which is the apparent path of the Sun, and every body is there. On that, all the 27 nakshatras are also there. Each 13 degree, 20 minute in span. So from the position of Ashwini, every sign is 30 degree. So from Ashwini, if 6 signs have shifted, it means 30 into 6, 180 degree and 37 minutes. So right now 4 degree. So 184 degree, 37 minutes, 31 second from Ashwini, from our beginning of Mesha, that is Sun. Then speed is given. If you see speed, it is nothing but the longitude on day 2 minus longitude on day 1. That tells you the speed. If you see, this table will very clearly tell you that speed is nothing but longitude of a particular day minus longitude of other day, because that is the angular distance that the planet has covered. Since the angular distance a planet has covered is known, we can simply use that as a understanding of the speed of planet. So speed is also talked about in terms of degree minutes, how many degree minutes a planet has moved. Then is talked about declination. We have talked about declination, and we have talked about Shara and Kranti. So declination and ecliptic longitude. Okay, so here declination is with respect to equator, and ecliptic longitude is with respect to the ecliptic. So declination would be given, and then your ecliptic longitude would be given, Shara and Kranti. So this is, so from equator, it is south. It is south from the equator on that belt about 11 degree 4 minutes. Okay, and it is getting souther as we talk about from the equator. Similarly, we have for moon. So moon was first in Libra, then it went into Scorpio. 7 is 7 signs shift. So 8th sign, that is Scorpio. Then it was in Sagittarius for 2 days. Then it was Makara, Capricorn for 3 days. Aquarius 2 days. Pisces 2 days. And final day was in Aries. When you see 0, it is Aries. The speed similarly you have for all the grahas, which basically means you will have the same information for Mercury, for Venus, for Mars, for Jupiter, for Saturn, for Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. That information is also given in the Panchangam. Additionally, you will also have the information about Rahu and Ketu, about their position every day at the rising and their declination, their speed, all of this information is readily available in a Panchangam. Now we come to some notation. We have already discussed one sign is 30 degrees. The zodiac is divided into 12 such signs. 1 degree is basically 1 by 360. 360th part of a circle. Okay. So in a circle there are 360. If we divide the circle into 360 degrees, then 1 degree is essentially the 60th part. Kala, minute. So degree is called amsha. Then we have kala or minute. It is 1/60th of a degree. And vikala or second, which is 1/60th of a minute. So 1 minute has 60 seconds, 1 degree has 60 minutes, but one sign has 30 degrees. So this has to be remembered. Otherwise, we get confused because 30, 30, when we start with degree 30, then 60, 60. So it is 30, 60, 60. It is not 60, 60, 60 because the sages decided that there were 12 signs. Had they decided on 6 signs, it would have been perfectly symmetrical, but the results would have been very gross. स्थूल फल मिलता, हमें सूक्ष्म फल नहीं मिलता. और सूक्ष्म फल, this was done, and this is the sexagesimal system. This is ancient. Some people say it is the ancient Babylonian system, and this is an old slide which was introduced into Indian astrology, but that is wrong. There are enough and more researches that suggest that the system was developed in India and that is what moved to Babylon. Now coming to sign notation. We have just discussed n. N can be a number from 0 to 11. So if you go into these slides, you see this is 6. This 6 here is what we are mentioning as n. Okay. N shift. N signs are shifted. So it is 0 shift, 0 signs are shifted. Since 0 signs have shifted, we are in the first sign, that is Mesha. If n equal to 1, if it is 1 shift, it means 1 sign has shifted, which is Vrishabha. If it is 2 shift, 2 signs have shifted, which is Gemini. 3 shift, 3 signs have shifted, which is Karkata, Cancer. If n equal to 4, 4 signs have shifted, which means Leo, Singer. If n equal to 5, 5 signs have shifted, which is Virgo, Kanya. If n equal to 6, 6 signs have shifted, which is after 6 it is Libra, Tula. If n equal to 7, 7 signs have shifted, that is Scorpio, Vrishchika. If it is n equal to 8, 8 signs have shifted, Sagittarius, Dhanu. If n equal to 9, 9 signs have shifted, Makara, Capricorn. N equal to 10, 10 signs have shifted, Aquarius, Kumbha. N equal to 11, 11 signs have shifted, Pisces. Okay. Next is D. Whatever degree we put this, we use this degree sign. We have all done basic high school mathematics. We know it is degree sign. Minute is just written by one simple dash comma in the top. Second is given by 2 simple dashes as a superscript. Okay. Now examples I have given here. 0 shift 15 degree 30 minutes. That is 15 degree 30 minute in Mesha Aries. Absolute longitude 15 degree 30 minutes. Similarly, 3 shift. 1 second. Oh, what did I do? Just one second. So 3 shift 10s 10 degree 45 minutes. So 3 signs have shifted. We are in Karkata. So Karkata 10 degree 45 minutes. Absolute longitude 3 into 30 degree plus 10 degree 45 minutes. 3 into 30 is 90. 90 degree plus 10 degree 100. Therefore 100 degree 45 is the absolute longitude from where? From the beginning point of Ashwini Nakshatra. From the beginning point of Mesha. 7s 25 degree. 25 degree in Vrishchika. 7 signs have shifted. So we are in Vrishchika. Absolute longitude 7 into 30, 210 plus 25, 235 degrees from Aries. Okay. This part is clear? Tejas, Amit, it is all making sense? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Conversion is very simple. If you want to do absolute longitude, just like we mentioned, whatever n is there, multiply it by 30 plus degree plus minute, you divide minute by 60, second you divide second by 3600, and you get this in degree. You can get this in second also. If you multiply everything that you get this way into 60, you get into minute, and if you multiply whatever you get into minute by 60, you get into seconds. Okay, why are we all doing this? To learn the sidereal position. So essentially what we are saying, Meisha is between 0 shift 0 degree and 0 shift 30 degree. That is Meisha, right? No signs are shifted. 30 degree is the span for each Rashi. What is a Rashi? A Rashi essentially means a heap, a collection in Sanskrit. So why are we mentioning the Rashis here? Because these are group of stars, group of distant stars which form a shape. For example, Mesha forms the shape of a ram. Vrishava forms the shape of a Vrishava, that is bull. Mithuna takes the shape of a couple. We feel in sky that a couple is together. Karkata is like a crab. Simha, Leo, is like a lion. Kanya, Virgo, is like a prepubescent girl, a young girl. Tula, Libra, it is like a man with a balance. Vrishchika, a Scorpio, it is like scorpion, literally. That is your uh, Bichu. Dhanu, Sagittarius, it almost feels like a man with a bow, and the bow is stretched. The arrow is stretched on the bow. Makara, Capricorn, this is essentially Magarvacha or crocodile. Kumbha, Kumbha basically means a pot of water, Ghada. So a man with a pot standing. Meena, two fishes eating each other sort of. So their tails are in each other's mouth and they are making a circular symbol. And their spans from the absolute spans on the nakshatra is Mesha is 0 degree to 30 minutes. So we say it is 0 span, 0 shift, 0 degree, 0 minute to 0 shift, 30 degree, 0 minute. Rishabha is from 30 to 60. So we say one shift because one shift is 30, one shift 0 degree 0 minute to one shift 30 degree 0 minute. Methana is 60 to 90. So we simply mention 2 shift 0 degree 0 minute to 2 shift 30 degree because 2 shift is 2 into 30 degree, 60 degree is automatically gone. Karkata, we write 3 shift 0 degree 0 minute to 3 shift 30. 3 shift is 90 degree. So Karkata is 90 degree to 120 degree. Simha, 4 shift 0 degree 0 minute to 4 shift 30 degree. 4 shift 4 into 30 120 degree. So it is 120 to 150 degree absolute longitude. That is Simha. Kanya similarly 150 to 180. Tula 180 to 210. Vrishchika, Scorpio 210 to 240. Dhanu 240 to 270. Makara, Capricorn 270 to 300. Kumbha 300 to 330. Meena 330 to 360. So that is what completes this entire exact span of the Rashis. Now every Rashi is made of 2.25 nakshatra, 9 nakshatra charan. So we have to understand what is the span of nakshatra to be able to understand exactly how the nakshatra and Rashi correspondence works. So what we see here is, this is how it looks like. Ashwini, let us look at it very careful. I'm just making it full screen for some minutes so that everyone can understand it properly. Ashwini is 0 shift, 0 degree, 0 minute to 0 shift, 13 degree, 20 minute. So Ashwini is Mesh 0 degree, that is Aries 0 degree to Aries 13 degree, 20 minutes. Okay. Bharani is Mesh, since it is still 0 shift, 13 degree 20 to 26 degree 40 minutes. Now I have just 3 degree 20 minutes left in Ashwini. So Kritika has 4 pada, every pada is 3 degree 20 minutes. First pada of Kritika, that is 0 shift 2640 to 0 shift 30 degree, that is Mesha Aries 26 degree 40 to Aries 30 degree. Kritika will be Kritika Charan 1. Then the remaining 3 Charan of Kritika will go to Taurus. So the remaining 3 Charan of Kritika will be Taurus 0 degree to Taurus 10 degree. 1s 0 0 0 0 to 1s 10 0 0. Okay. The Rohini continues. So 10 degrees of Brishabha, Taurus are taken. I still have 20 degrees. Rohini 13 degree 20 minutes. The entire nakshatra, it falls in Taurus. So Rohini is 1 shift 10 degree to 1 shift 23 degree 20 minutes. That is what Rohini goes. Now, so 23 degree 20 minutes are gone. What is left? 6 degree 40 minutes. One nakshatra pada, one nakshatra charan is 3 degree 20. So I have 6 degree 40 minutes. So what happens next is that for Mrigashira, 2 charan, charan 1 and charan 2 of Mrigashira, they will fall in Vrishabha towards the end of Vrishabha. So earlier we had seen 1 charan of Kritika was at the end of Mesha, Aries, and the remaining 3 charan went into Vrishabha, Taurus. Now since it is 9, it is not since it is 9, therefore next time that we go, we'll have 2 charans of Mrigashira, the final 2 charans of Mrigashira in Taurus, and the last 2 charans of Mrigashira actually going into Gemini, right? So Gemini 0 degree, 2s, 2 shift 0 degree 0 minute to 2 shift 6 degree 40 minute. That is Gemini 0 degree to Gemini 6 degree 40 minute is Mrigashira. The remainder of the Mrigashira will follow in Gemini, 0 degree to 6 degree 40 minute. After that, Ardra, the whole of Ardra will fall in Mithuna, 2 shift 6 degree 40 minutes. So Mithuna, Gemini 6 degree 40 minute to Gemini 20 degree. So this entire 13 degree 20 minute span of Ardra, it gets in Gemini. And finally we get 10 degree left. So how many nakshatra pada in 10 degree? Now we have 3 degree 20 plus 3 degree 20. 6 degree 40 plus 3 degree 20. That is 10 degrees. Right? So 3 pada of Punarvasu fall in Mithuna, which is 2 shift 20 degree to 2 shift 30 degree. And the final pada of Punarvasu, that is 3 shift 0 degree to 3 shift 3 degree 20 minutes. That is Cancer 0 degree to Cancer 3 degree 20 minutes. That is the final pada of Punarvasu. Then we get into Pushya. Pushya starts with Cancer 3 degree 20 minutes because that is where Punarvasu ended. So Pushya starts with Cancer 3 degree 20 minutes and it ends with 16 degree 20 minutes Cancer. That is Pushya. So entire Pushya is in Karkata Rashi, Cancer. Aslesha. Now we have 13 degree 20 minute remaining. So Aslesha also gets into Karkata. So nothing moves forward. For Aslesha, nothing moves forward into Leo. And Magha starts from Leo 0 degree to Leo for 13 degree 20 minutes. Now this thing, when one nakshatra ends in one Rashi, ends with one Rashi, that is the ending of a nakshatra and ending of the Rashi are same, happens thrice. One is with Ashlesha Magha, which is at the border of Karkata and Simha, Cancer and Leo. Second is Jyeshtha Moola, which is at the border of Dhanu and which is at the border of 8. So Vrishchika, Scorpio, and Dhanu, that is Sagittarius. So Jyeshtha and Moola, that happens at the borders of Scorpio and Sagittarius. And third, Revati and Ashwini, that happens at the border of Meena, Pisces, and Mesha, Aries. These 3 points, these 3 junction points, where the end of the nakshatra and end of the Rasi are coterminous, these 3 junction points are called Gandant. They are also called at times Gandamoola. Because people are lazy, at times they will just call Moola dosha. So children, when they are born with Chandra in one of these nakshatras, Ashwini, Ashlesha, Magha, Jyeshtha, Moola, and Revati, then we say the child has been born with Gandanta dosha. And since the child has been born with Gandanta dosha, Gandanta Shanti is prescribed. Mool Shanti or Gandanta Shanti is prescribed. What happens is, all these places you find that there is an interjection of the water sign and the fire sign. So think of it like boiling fire or an underground volcano that has suddenly started in water. That energy is very intense. And Chandra is essentially responsible for Ayushya of young children. So when Chandra finds itself in the junction points, then the Ayushya of the child becomes a little bit of a concern. Therefore, Gandanta Shanti is done on the 27th day. It is said that Goswami Tulsidas was born in Moola Nakshatra and his parents left him outside on a heap of ashes to die, essentially. Earlier, people actually used to leave children out when they were born in Gandanta Nakshatra. One was, there were some apprehensions about the luck. Second was, the longevity of the child itself would be a question. But now with modern technology coming in, it is very easily manageable. So if you see the birth data, you'll find that people born during Gandanta will have some problem. Children born during Gandanta will have some problems, like they might have some water in the lungs, they might have jaundice, they might have similar other problems that they may face. Okay. With modern technology, all hospitals, wherever there is a decent pediatric facility, they have pediatric ICUs where these things are easily taken care of. But imagine older times when it was not so. Then it became difficult. So there is a question by Divya Disha Wellness. He asks, is the Gandanta for all 4 plus 4 pada? Shanti should be done for all 4 plus 4 pada. The effect is most intense at the ending 2 pada and the beginning 2 pada. So the ending 2 pada of Revati, beginning 2 pada of Ashwini, the ending 2 pada of Ashlesha, beginning 2 pada of Magha, the ending 2 pada of Jyeshtha, the beginning 2 pada of Moola. That is when the danger is the maximum. So suppose you were born in a Gandanta, Chandra Gandanta, but Shanti for Chandra Gandanta was not done for you. So what to do? You do Tuladana. Whatever your weight is, get that much of rice. Take 1/10 of that pulses. Keep some money as dakshina, and in a yellow cloth, put all these, tie it up in a gutri, and donate it to a Brahman. Once you are donating it to the Brahmana, along with the donation, have 2 Ardha Chandra of silver, half moon of silver made, and have one of them should be in a red thread, another should be in a yellow thread. Give both of them to the Brahmana, ask him to return to you the red one, and actually tie that red chand either around your neck or on your arm. So the problems that you might still be facing in terms of some mental health issues because of Gandanta, they will be gone. Okay. This is the Tithi. Tithi is essentially the difference once the moon moves ahead of sun by 10 degrees, 12 degrees, that is a Tithi. The system I come from, we use the Purnimanta calendar. That is, once the Purnima ends, the new month starts. So in the Purnimanta calendar, since from Purnima to Amavasya, it is the Krishna Paksha, so it will start with Krishna Pratipada, Krishna Dvitiya, Krishna Tritiya. So my third Tithi will be Krishna Tritiya, Krishna Chaturthi, Krishna Panchami, Krishna Shashti, Krishna Saptami. Krishna Pratipada will be, moon will be ahead of sun by 180 degree. 180 degree, once moon is ahead of sun by 180 degree and goes to 192 degree. So since it is more than 180, now we'll say that Surya is ahead of Chandra. We'll explain that in the exact calculation. But the difference essentially is 180 degree to 192 degree. Dvitiya is 190 to 204 degree. Tritiya 204 degree to 216 degree. Chaturthi 216 degree to 228 and so on. Amavasya comes to 348 to 360. I can also say Amavasya is minus 12 degree to 0 degree if you think about it. Moon was behind sun by 12 degree, that is when Amavasya started, and then 0 degree is when Amavasya ends. So Amavasya ends at 0 degree. 6th Tithi before Amavasya and 6th Tithi after Amavasya is when we say that Chandra loses its water and becomes crude. So Krishna Chaturdashi, Krishna Trayodashi, Krishna Dwadashi, Krishna Ekadashi, Krishna Dashami, Krishna Navami. And 6 Tithis after Amavasya. That is Shukla Pratipada, Shukla Dvitiya, Shukla Tritiya, Shukla Chaturthi, Shukla Panchami, Shukla Sashti. So Krishna Paksha Navami to Shukla Paksha Sashti, that is when it is Krura Chandra. The Chandra doesn't have water. Okay. The Chandra itself becomes a malefic. And that has a lot of usage, this concept, when it comes to predictive astrology. Now, but however, there is another form which is the Amavasyanta or Amanta calendar, where the month starts from Shukla Paksha Pratipada. Once that starts, then the numbering will be 1 will be here. So in my sort, 15 will be Amavasya, 30 will be your Purnima. But here it will not happen like this. It will happen 1 will be Pratipada, 15th will be Purnima, and 30th will be Amavasya. We'll use that for calculation purposes, the Amavasyanta. So Shukla Paksha Pratipada is 1, Shukla Paksha Dvitiya is 2, Shukla Paksha Tritiya is the 3rd Tithi, Shukla Paksha Chaturthi is the 4th Tithi, Shukla Paksha Panchami is the 5th Tithi, Shukla Paksha Sashti is the 6th Tithi, Shukla Paksha Saptami is the 7th, Shukla Paksha Ashtami is the 8th, Shukla Paksha Navami is the 10th Tithi, Shukla Paksha Dashami is the Shukla Paksha Navami is the 9th Tithi, Shukla Paksha Dashami is the 10th Tithi, Shukla Paksha Ekadashi is the 11th Tithi, Shukla Paksha Dwadashi is the 12th. There is some misalignment here, ignore that. Shukla Paksha Trayodashi is the 13th Tithi, Shukla Paksha Chaturdashi is the 14th, and Purnima, full moon, is the 15th. Then Krishna Paksha Pratipada is 16th, Krishna Paksha Dvitiya is 17th, Krishna Paksha Tritiya is 18th, and so on. Right? That is how we find an Amavasya is the 30th Tithi. Let us see how we are going to use it. Tithi calculation method. We have used something called the floor function. The floor function is basically you just have to take the quotient. You have to completely ignore the remainder. What is meant? We just talked, Tithi is defined as the time during which the angular separation between the moon and the sun. The angular separation, of course, increases. No, moon moves much faster than sun. Sun takes 30 days to cross a Rashi. Moon takes 2.25 days to cross a Rashi. So who is faster? Moon. Right? Moon is faster. Since moon is faster, moon keeps going ahead, and then gets behind after Purnima, because Rashi we are taking from 1 onwards. No? So after a particular point, after 6 signs, the sun's sign will be higher. There are 30 Tithis in a lunar month. You'll say, why 30? Because Chandra, its period is 27 days. Chandra takes 27 days to move around the earth But during that time, the Earth also has moved a little bit around the Sun. So in terms of absolute distance, it is 30 days and not 27 days. Right? The formula here is longitude of moon minus longitude of sun mod 360. Mod 360 simply means it has to be within 360. If it gets negative, we do some additions. We'll add 360. Like in Krishna Paksh, it will go negative, right? So we'll add something. We don't want negative numbers. Since we hate negative numbers here, we are writing mod 360 within the range of 0 degree to 360 degree. That is what Tithi is floor function of angular distance, angular difference by 12 degree plus 1. We'll see that with examples for both Shukla Paksha and Krishna Paksha. So we discussed each Tithi represents a 12 degree increase. Yeah, Tithi deities. We had discussed that, right? Once again. Yeah. So every Tithi has a deity associated, and that has a lot of usage in Panchanga, in Muhurta selection, and in terms of Upasana and other things, everything. Pratipada is owned by Durga, Krishna Pratipada. Shukla Pratipada also you can consider owned by Durga. Yama, Shiva, Ganesha, Naga, Kartikeya, Surya, Shiva, Durga, Yama और काला, विश्वदेव, Vishnu, Kamadeva, Shiva, and Pitri, while Amavasya is ruled by Chandra. So when we come to Muhurta, we'll have something to discuss about it. If we are able to discuss Muhurta in this course, then we'll discuss about the deities also. Thank you for reminding me that I had forgotten. Tithi basically is 0 degree to 180 degrees Shukla Paksha, we have just discussed. 180 degree to 360 degrees Krishna Paksha. Okay. By rising nakshatra, we mean the nakshatra at the time of the nakshatra moon is in at the time of the sunrise. Next we go to waxing half. Waxing half is Amavasya to Purnima. We have already discussed. Pratipada, moon just moves ahead of sun. Ashtami is when half moon is visible, Ardha Chandra, and Purnima is when full moon is visible. Right? Similarly, for the Krishna Paksha, moons begins to wane, decrease in sign. On Pratipada, half moon has waned on Ashtami, and Amavasya is new moon. Okay, so Amavasyanta calendar will start from Shukla Pratipada. Purnimanta calendar will start from Krishna Pratipada. That is why you will find that Shravana in North India starts early. In Maharashtra and Gujarat and South India it starts late. Right? Because in terms of Amavasyanta and Purnimanta, that is why the differences. Both are right. There is no wrong system. On different places, according to the stages, they define that we will follow Amavasyanta or Purnimanta. In this course, mostly we will be following Purnimanta because that is what my tradition teaches me. So, for those of you who are still a little confused about the definition, Amavasyanta calendar, month begins after Amavasya. Purnimanta calendar, month begins after Purnima. So tomorrow it is possible, since we are on the flow, that we talk about month, what are the month names, etc. Month is also decided on two ways. It is either decided from Purnimanta or Amavasyanta, or it is decided as per Surya Sankranti. So there is a solar calendar as well as a lunar calendar in India. Both are equally effective. In Kerala, in Tamil Nadu, in Bengal, the solar calendar is started. So from Surya Sankranti to Surya Sankranti, for example, we have a Mesha month, we have a Vrishava month, and things like that. So we'll also talk about that going forward. This is an example calculation. This is for Shukla Paksha. So see, Surya is 2 shift 15 degree 30 minute 0 seconds. So Surya is in Mithuna 15 degree, right? And Chandra is 5 shift 8 degree 45 minutes. So since Chandra is ahead of moon, simple calculation. Since Chandra is ahead of moon, what do we say? That it is Shukla Paksha. Okay. Now we calculate the sun's longitude the way we have done. 2 into 30 degree plus 15 degree 30 minutes. So 60 degree plus 15 degree 30 minutes, which is 75 degree 30 minutes. You can simply say 30 minutes is 0.5 degree, so 75.5 degree. Moon's longitude 5 into 30 degree plus 8 degree 45 minutes. So 150 degree plus 8 degree 45 minutes, 158 degree 45. So if you divide 45 by 60, you get 0.75. So 158.75. Calculate the difference. Once you calculate the difference, you get this number 83.75. Moon minus sun 83.25. We divide by 12. It comes 6.9375. And we have added 1. Okay, the formula that we had seen, the floor function with the floor function. What was the formula? Angular difference by 12, floor function plus 1. That is the Tithi. So here you see, what does the floor function yield? Inside the floor function, it is 6.93. We'll ignore 0.937. Floor function, right? Like I said, we'll just consider the quotient. Remainder हम छोड़ देंगे. So we say 6 plus 1, 7. So essentially, where are we? We are in the 7th Tithi. ठीक है? समझ गए? But 93.75% of the 7th Tithi is done. Because once it reaches 84, it is done. Not 93.75 exact. We'll see that also. How much of the Tithi is gone. So how much of the Tithi has elapsed? The 7th Tithi is Saptami. This is Saptami. Since the angular difference is 83.25, and what we had said that for angular difference up to 120 it is Shukla Paksha. So since the angular difference is 83.25, it is Shukla Paksha Saptami. Deity presiding is Surya. Progression within the Tithi 83.25 minus 6 into 12. So the nearest multiple of 12 before 83 was 72. So 11 degree 25 minutes. 11 degree 25 minutes out of 12 degrees pass. So 93.75% Tithi is complete. Okay. It will end when we reach 84%, which is what we got here also 93.75. This will be the same. Right? This much Tithi is complete. Whatever the span of the Tithi, this much of the Tithi is complete. Now there is a Krishna Paksha calculation. What is the Krishna Paksha calculation? Sun's position is 6s 20 degree 15 minutes. Sun is ahead 6 shift, which is means sun is in Tula 20 degree 15 minute, and moon's position is 2 shift 5 degree 30 minute. Convert to absolute longitude. The method we talked about, 6 into 30 degree plus 20 degree 15 minute, 180 degree plus 20 degree 15 minute, 200 degree 15 minute. Okay, so essentially 200.25 degree, 15 divided by 60, 14.25. Moon's longitude 2 into 30 plus 5 degree 30, 60 plus 5 degree 30, 65 degree 30 minute, 65.5. Calculate angular difference. Now see, this is where we need to look at it carefully. क्या हो रहा है? We add 360. Mod 360, you remember from formula, right? Because if we do subtract 65 minus 200, it's a negative number. We hate negative numbers. So we add 65.5 plus 360, and then we subtract it from 200. We get 225.25. If we divide 225.25 by 12 degree, it is 18.77 equal to 19. What is the 19th Tithi? Amavasya is 15. Krishna Paksh Pratipada is 16. Krishna Paksh Dvitiya is 17th. Krishna Paksh Tritiya is 18th. Krishna Paksh Chaturthi. So we are in Krishna Paksh Chaturthi. We will just subtract 19 by 5, 15. Okay. So we are Chaturthi of Krishna Paksha. Presiding deity is Ganesha. Progress within Tithi. From here only we can know that 77% Tithi is complete. Similar method, 77% of the Tithi is complete. So conversion. So this is basically a summarization of what we just discussed for Krishna Paksha. This is how we calculate. So this, guys, is how we actually understand about Tithis, right? So today's class was essentially dedicated to Tithis and how we understand Tithis. I think I've answered all the questions that I could see here on the chat. So tomorrow we'll either talk about yoga or we'll talk about mass month or Vara, one of those things. I'll decide. I'm not decided yet. And we'll take it forward. The idea is that every concept we'll try to explain is as much detail in with as little mathematical sophistication as possible, so that this concept becomes germane to all of you. Okay, that is all from my side. Thank you guys for joining in. Namaskar. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.